Over the last couple years, I'd say the word I've heard the most in Britain is Brexit. But amongst all of that, I wonder, if at all, how will Brexit affect my medication? I have lupus, and because of that, I have to take medication every single day. I take a pill called hydroxychloroquine sulfate for lupus, and I also take the oral contraception for bad period pains and heavy bleeding. For the most part, I don't have issues getting my medication. I get the prescription from my doctor, I take it to the pharmacy, and they give me my medication. I do sometimes get issues because not every pharmacist will stock the particular brand that I need, but apart from that, I'm good. But as Brexit is fast approaching on the 29th of March this year, I wonder if that will change, or is it all being blown out of proportion? But before understanding the potential changes that Brexit may cause, I wanted to understand the process, how medicines go from their start to their end in my body. So I found a good article that explains the process really well, written by Ash Sunny, the president of the Royal Pharmaceutical Company. Getting medication from start to finish is an international process in nature. It starts by getting the active ingredient made, and this is often in countries like India or other countries in the Far East. After the active ingredient is made, it then gets taken to manufacturing plants, who then make it into tablets or liquids that we know in prescribed form. Now these factories are in, but not limited to, many European countries, but we also have some in the UK. After the medication has been made in their prescribed form, they get taken to wholesalers, who then give the medication to pharmacies and hospitals, and then the medication comes to you. It's a fairly sensitive process, and if something were to go wrong, it could mean that that whole batch of medication can get discarded. Contamination during the process of making the active ingredient? Discarded. Did the medication not pass quality control in the manufacturing plant? Discarded. Was the van that was transporting, let's say, insulin to the wholesaler too hot because insulin needs to be stored between 2 degrees and 8 degrees Celsius? Yes? Discarded. So as I said, the process is really sensitive for drugs like insulin and EpiPens having a really short shelf life. And so if something were to go wrong, especially for these medications and other ones, it can cause shortages. And when there are shortages, it means that the patients that need these medications are gonna find it harder to get them. And that is happening right now for EpiPens and other medications that some people that I talk to on Instagram have been messaging me about. The shortage for EpiPens especially is not even just happening in the UK, it's also happening in the US, Canada, and Australia too. And so companies, pharmacies, the government, healthcare professionals do their best to make sure that these issues are limited as much as possible. But if we throw Brexit in the mix, is that just going to make it all worse? If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I talk about chronic illness a lot. I mean, it's the main point of my page. So I asked my followers on Instagram if they were apprehensive about what was going to happen to their medication after Brexit. Some people didn't think there should be cause for alarm and felt like it was being blown out of proportion or not much would change, while most people that I spoke to were quite worried as to what's going to happen. Some people that I've spoken to are already experiencing shortages and are not quite sure what to do, and are scared that that will be made worse after Brexit. But what is the truth? Well, truth is, none of us really know what's going to happen because Brexit hasn't happened yet. But upon a little bit of research, and when I say research, I mean reading various articles on the internet, I found some really interesting perspectives and thoughts of what may happen. So the BBC reports that it may be harder to get medication, especially in the case of a no-deal Brexit. Interestingly enough though, according to that same article I read, we actually export more medication, about 45 million packs per month, out of the country than we do import, which is around 37 million packs per month. But 37 million packs per month is also a good amount of medication. And what will happen to that medication if we've not guaranteed a safe journey for it to travel across the EU into the UK? If there isn't a deal to protect it, there may be some disruption. Some ministers have been advising firms to stockpile medication, but that's not going to work for all types of medication. Remember the insulin I was talking about earlier and the EpiPens? Well, there's other medication like that as well that needs specific requirements in order to make sure that they're okay for patients to take. The rules that you might apply for some forms of medication may not apply for others, so there's no one-size-fits-all plan because it's not going to work for all types of meds. In another article that I read by The Independent, the Public Accounts Committee made a report, and it basically said that they weren't satisfied with the government's preparations for any disruptions that may be caused after the UK leaves the EU, which sounds promising. I'm not gonna lie, that stuff worries me, and from my perspective, it's not looking too good. Now, some may argue that a lot of these articles are scaremongering, and maybe that is the case. The biggest problem is none of us know what's actually gonna happen yet. Brexit hasn't happened yet, so there's a lot of mights and maybes and perhaps and could-bes, and that breeds uncertainty, and uncertainty is scary, especially when it comes to medication, and especially if you take medication every single day, and especially if you take multiple types of medication every day and your medication is quite sensitive to the time frame and the temperature that it needs to be stored in. I can only hope that some plans do get put in place to safeguard patients and their medication, because frankly this doesn't just affect chronic illness patients, this affects all of us. If you turn up to A&E and you get a stomach bug, or if you break your leg, you're going to need medication too. So it's not just for chronic illness patients, it's actually for all of us. And it's also for the extra pressure that's getting put on healthcare professionals that are saving our lives. All of us are affected. But that's just me. Here's what other people said.
I'm Spanish and I've been living in the UK for 3 years. I've noticed the meds are different here than the rest of Europe. After Brexit, I'm sure we're going to have shortages, because without a deal, everything is going to be more difficult.
I think it would be kind of naive to think that it wouldn't affect all of us, even us without kind of long-term illnesses and disabilities, especially with mine and with lots of other people I know. Stopping that medication would result in hospital admissions. Wait on the hospitals means longer waiting times, less people being able to be seen even if you aren't chronically ill.
And I guess to wrap up on that, a spokesperson from the Department of Health and Social Care said, the government is confident of reaching a deal with the EU that benefits patients, and the NHS is preparing for all situations. So I guess we can hope for the best. I didn't create this video to be really negative or to be scaremongering. And I didn't create this video to give you all the answers because I don't have them. But I did want to make this video because I think it's something we all should be thinking about. Brexit potentially can have many different repercussions, and medication may be one of them, and I think it's something that all of us should be talking and thinking about. Thank you guys so much for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. So what about you? What do you think is going to happen to medication after Britain leaves the EU, after Brexit? Let me know your opinions and thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and click the notification bell to be informed whenever I upload a video. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching that video, and I will see you in the next one.